As you can see, I've been socially distancing, not just because of the pandemic, but because of other injustices that's been happening. So I'm very tired of being the window dressing of this state, the convenience for others' successes. Giving honor to God today for his blessings of life, happiness, and equality. We have had this conversation far too often and for far too long. While our state continues to grow year after year in diversity, our courts have remained stagnant in the past and a void of the color that fills its corridors, its courtrooms, and Rhode Island's cities and towns. Yet our voices and our screams have continuously fallen on deaf ears, and our calls for inclusion and equality are shrugged off as not important to the status quo. Enough is enough. With the movement for racial justice sweeping across this country at a pace not seen since 1960s, now is the time to finally give Rhode Island's community of color their earned and well-deserved positions at all judicial tables. Yes. Now is the time for judiciary to represent all of our citizens equitably and fairly. Yes. Yes. Now is the time for Governor Raimondo to prove to us all that her words for equality and unity are backed up by her actions, and the only way for the governor to do this is to appoint Melissa Long and Elizabeth Ortiz to the state Supreme Court and Family Court as a part of her supposed commitment to the community of color. Today, we are here also to discuss other aspects of this continuing injustice against Rhode Island's community of color, who are in search of fair and just representations in the courts and on many other levels in the state of Rhode Island. That's right. Yes. Chief Justice Paul Suttell of the Supreme Court, my Aunt Chloe, myself, and my entire family love you to the moon and back, Chief Suttell. You are a man of integrity and compassion, and certainly representation of fairness. I stand before you today and the city of Providence, state of Rhode Island, to ask you, Chief Suttell, to speak up. Yes. Speak up on behalf of the community of color. It is your duty to represent and voice your concerns of the need of your courtrooms. Chief Judge Michael Forte of the Family Court, I have sat in your courtroom and listened to you as you spoke to your clients, parents, and children alike. I personally have been before your court for my own personal family matters. And you spoke eloquently and defended truth then. Judge Forte, this is not a time for you to send your moral compass to be repaired or checked. This is a time for you to step up and voice the needs of the courts of which you preside over. It needs to be fairly represented with racial and cultural fairness. Both of you serve in positions of great power and responsibility to the citizens of Rhode Island along with all of the chief judges, and they are not off the hook. Justice Alice Gibney, this is also for you. Chief Judge Joanne Lafazia, this is also for you. Chief Judge Robert Ferrari, this is also for you. Chief Magistrate Dominic DiSandro, this is also for you. If we are to finally achieve judicial system of true fairness and representation for all of our citizens, we need these officials to step up and acknowledge that their courts are lacking in crucial perceptions, cultural understanding, and judgment from the community of color, and that this age-old problem of racial inequality must be corrected now. According to the Rhode Island Code of Judicial Conduct, Rule 1.2, promoting confidence in the judiciary, a judge shall act at all times in a manner that promotes public confidence in the independence, integrity, and impartiality of the judiciary, and shall avoid impropriety and the appearance of impropriety. How can a court ensure that members of the judiciary will follow these mandates when the judicial appointment apparatus in this state willfully, shamefully, predictably, and embarrassingly discards and ignores highly qualified judicial candidates of color? The fact that there has never been the presence, the voice, the perspective, or the judgment of a person of color on the state Supreme Court is a painful blow that strikes at the very heart of what this court is supposed to and is mandated to stand for. Such a judge, Ojeda Rogeri Thompson, now a federal judge on the United States Court of Appeals of the First Circuit, who was and continues to be a qualified black woman who was denied her well-earned Supreme Court appointment in favor of yet another politically connected individual. It is 2020, y'all. It is 2020. There's 7 states that have people of color serving not just as members of their Supreme Courts, but as their chief judge. Also, Rhode Island is one of 23 states that do not have any Supreme Court justices of color on the bench.
Come on now. Shame on.
And just to add to that, there is not, nor has there ever been, a person of color on the tribunal court either.
Shame on us.
There's absolutely no fair, moral, or logical reason that all Rhode Islanders who rely on justice and fairness in our courts shouldn't see themselves represented on this high court and the lower courts as well. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "The Emancipation Proclamation brought a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustices." Our state should know very well about slavery and hope, since it's our state motto, hope. But yet, more than 100 years have passed, and today we all must face the true and tragic facts that this hope is false for too many of our residents, and racism still is very prevalent and still continues to dominate a pivotal role here in Rhode Island's status quo. So now, we are here to demand that our rights be treated equally on all levels in Rhode Island and all of its plantations, just as our state and national constitutions guarantees us the pursuit of happiness, pride of life, and liberty, but which has been repeatedly denied and held back due to centuries of encouraged and condoned systemic, institutional racism here in Rhode Island and in our Capitol building. To overlook the urgency of this matter today and any day moving forward will have far-reaching repercussions moving forward, as it would be direct proof that our highest political leaders do not truly care to create a just and fair judicial system. If Rhode Island is to become a great state for racial equality and hope, it must rise up and see the truth of this injustice and change it once and for all. There is no clearer example these days of systemic racism than the judicial appointment process in Rhode Island, my friend. There is no clearer example. And there's no hiding from it. They're doing it blatantly in our faces each and every day. As recent vacancies have opened and highly qualified candidates of color have raised their hands to serve amidst the racial awakening of 2020s, the public not only demand but expect that Melissa Long and Elizabeth Ortiz will be given these just and fair appointments. A poorly and currently planned political appointment is unacceptable. It's intolerable, and the harm to the community of color and its allies would be unrepairable. Now it's up to our top state leaders to demonstrate what they truly believe and how they truly feel about racial equality here in their governance. Will their words ring hollow, or will their actions prove that they are truly on the side of justice and real change? Surely time will tell. But rest assured, mark our words, seal this date, that we, the people of Rhode Island's community of color, are intently watching, taking notes, calling names, and our demands for equality, once and for all, equality, freedom, justice, will not be silenced, will not be silenced. I thank you for being here. I thank you for all who came out to present. I thank you for the opportunity of speaking truth to power. I thank the opportunity of my word resonating to not only the ears of these people in position of power and decision making, but it touches their heart that the time has come for them to do the right thing instead of the hookup from the floor up and continuing to put their folks in positions, not to demean anyone, but if you are told to do the right thing, go to school, get the education, follow the rules, pay your dues, and then you're still dismissed, the time is now. The time is now. The time is now. I'm calling on all who I call their names to say the time is now. Thank you. At this time, Jose Baptista is also going to join us to say a few words.